a lot more to see than you think in Animal Kingdom's Asia, and we're gonna see it all. That's right, we're back for another land tour here in Asia at Disney's Animal Kingdom today. This is one of 5 lands here in Animal Kingdom, 5, 6 I guess if you count Oasis. And it has one of the most popular rides in the park with Expedition Everest, but there's a lot to see. We're going to check out the rides, the dining, the shopping, the shows, everything there is to see in Asia. I'm super excited. This is definitely one of my favorite lands in this park, if not all of Disney World. Actually, I love all the lands in this park. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I am so excited to explore today. As you enter Asia, you'll notice a lot of really beautiful details. This area definitely exemplifies the just exquisite detail of Animal Kingdom. And Asia is a really great example of that. Looking around, it really does feel like you're walking around an Asian civilization. This is a fictional town that you're entering called Anandapur. It is supposed to be sort of Nepalese, near Mount Everest, of course, as you've probably seen Expedition Everest. And I think we should start out by heading to the left. Animal Kingdom is similar to Magic Kingdom, and then it's laid out as a wheel and spokes. So if you head to the left, you are heading towards Africa. To the right, you're heading towards Dinoland, and we just came across the bridge from Discovery Island. But we are going to head out and check out some of the things that you can find over this way. Like, for instance, Chuck Renetti right here, jamming on the sitar, a 19-string instrument that is from the Maharajah days of Asia. Very cool. You can just see him out here playing. And, of course, the ever-important snack cart, ice cream cart, drink cart.
With movable frets, made from a big pumpkin that goes back to the days of the Maharajas over 500 years ago. We have beliefs about music that go back that many centuries. We believe that music and nature are connected. We actually believe that each note of the musical scale originated with a different animal.
One thing I absolutely love about Animal Kingdom in general is that a lot of the areas have these like posters, just like it makes it feel like a real living environment. Our next stop that we're passing by is Upcountry Landing. Now this actually isn't really anything. It is just a little sort of pavilion that has a bunch of shady tables under it, aka probably the most exciting location because Animal Kingdom is hot and sunny. I don't typically have trouble finding seating in Asia. Sometimes you do have to look a little further than you might want to, but there are a good number of tables and seating here. Upcountry Landing is certainly one of those spots. I'll show you a couple others throughout today, so don't miss out because you definitely want to sit down when you're in Disney World. I know I do. When you get to this like stone building, you are really coming to the end of the Asia section, and there are just a couple of things to notice in this area, including probably one of the most popular and also at the same time underrated snacks. It's that good. It's popular and underrated. Right here, this is a restroom. Now this is kind of an obvious restroom right on a main pathway, so it can get busy, although not nearly as busy as some other restrooms, so definitely it's important that it's here. Right at the very end of the Asia section here, we have Caravan Road. This is the first of many dining kiosks here in Asia. And this one right now is serving shaved ice, including kakigori, which you might know is a favorite from the Japan Pavilion over in Epcot. They actually do have that at Caravan Road at the time that I'm filming. Now this restaurant does have a little bit of a rotating menu, so it might change. But right now, kakigori. It's really hot, but I have something else in mind to eat. Where we are going to stop is just across the way from Caravan Road at Mr. Kamal's. Now this kiosk looks unassuming. There's only 2 food items on the menu and then like cold beverages, so it sounds like, why would you go there? I'll tell you why you'll go there, and that's for the Mr. Kamal's seasoned fries. The 2 food items here are chicken dumplings served with ponzu and the Mr. Kamal's seasoned fries served with 2 very unique sauces. These fries are one of my favorite things to eat in Animal Kingdom. Molly and I just recently had them on our crawler on Animal Kingdom, and I certainly am going to do the same today because they are literally so good. While I wait for those fries, let's check out down here. There is this little seating area. Another one tends to be pretty shady, especially when in these tables that are a little closer to the trees. Looks out over the water and this beautiful view of the Tree of Life. I always check for a table down here, although they do tend to be taken. All right, here we have the famous Mr. Kamal's seasoned fries. These are classic Disney quick service fries seasoned with just amazing seasonings. They taste so good. And it comes with 2 sauces now, the curried honey mustard right here, and then this here is the Korean chili ketchup. And the Korean chili ketchup, I believe, is actually plant-based. You can double up on that one if you are a plant-based eater. I know Breedlove absolutely loves that one. And these are one of my favorite things to eat in all of Disney World, especially in Animal Kingdom, especially in Asia and Animal Kingdom. So I'm super glad we have them. All right, Mr. Kamal's fries, tasting time. Lemon ketchup first, it's my favorite. So good. They don't taste how you expect. Both of the sauces are so unique and so good. The honey mustard definitely tastes really curried. The ketchup is my favorite. It's loose. It's super like zingy. You know, if you like vinegar-based barbecue sauce, you'll probably like the ketchup. The honey mustard is definitely like a honey mustard and curry taste together. Like, it's pretty much what it is. I'm a huge fan of this, and pro tip, dip in both the sauces. That's how you get the real winner. You gotta try these. They're French fries, so they're good for picky eaters, but they have adventurous flavors from the spices. There's actually the babiest bit of kick to them, so if you are totally spice averse, maybe skip them, but oh my gosh, are they so good. One of my favorite snacks has been had. Now I think we go see one of my favorite shows in all of Disney World. An unpopular opinion, you'll have to tell me what you think. Here at Anandapur Theater, we have Feathered Friends in Flight. This is the bird show here in Animal Kingdom. It exhibits a lot of different species of birds, a lot of their tricks and talents. It absolutely blows my mind every time I go in here how intelligent the birds are, how close they fly to the tops of your heads. I highly, highly recommend this show if you like birds. And if you like animals at all, I definitely recommend. You might see macaws, ravens, chickens, a bald eagle, the whole shebang. It is funny, it is amazing, it is educational. This is like one of my favorite Disney shows in all of the parks. And I stand by that. Now, if you don't love birds, you might not love Feathered Friends in Flight. Molly's scared of birds. I know this isn't her favorite show. But I absolutely love it. I think it's amazing. I always love going in and listening to all the families like literally like ooh and ah and just have jaw-dropping moments over these birds. It's very, very cool. There's audience participation. Some audience members will have birds land on their arms. Like, it is very cool. If you like birds, see Feathered Friends in Flight and thank me later. Little detail you might notice outside are these very like cool stylized statues of Russell and Doug from Up. And I actually saw Kevin walking around up here earlier. That's because Feathered Friends in Flight did for a while have an Up overlay where Russell and Doug both participated in the show. That has been discontinued since the 2020 park closures. However, I'll tell you, I actually prefer it without Doug and Russell because I think the birds are cool enough on their own. Now, you can bring beverages into the bird show. I did not because I just ate my fries, but you can definitely grab over here. There is this little frozen drink stand. It has a few frozen cocktails, including like a margarita, the Shangri-La Berry Freeze. You can also snag some beer and a hot dog. I guess if you really wanted a hot dog. And take it with you into the bird show or just cool down because it is hot, hot, hot. Something to be prepared for is that Animal Kingdom does tend to be the hottest park of the 4 Disney World parks because of the dense foliage here to help with the theming. It's created kind of a rainforest effect, and it's on average about 10 degrees hotter than the other theme parks. So if you see that temperature on the weather forecast, add 10 degrees, and that's what you should expect in Animal Kingdom. It is hot. It's very early still, and I'm already sweating profusely. If you want to see Friends in Flight, make sure you check your Times Guide or the listing in the My Disney Experience app. There are not very many shows today. Today there were just 5. So definitely keep in mind that you might miss a show. In this area, you can really get a sense of that theming. The posters up here are like from Bollywood movies. It's very cool. And then you've got this amazing bulletin board just covered in advertisements for things that actually exist here in Animal Kingdom's Asia and things that don't. So it's just a very, very cool design. And there's where we came in. So that's all if you're going to go to the left. But now we got to go to the bulk of Asia, which is to the right. I always really like looking at this little like temple area. Right now, people are typically just sitting in it because it's shady and cool. But it's a very beautiful theming detail, as are everything that I'm looking at here in Asia. Something to look for around Asia are the like prayer flags and things like that. You can see some of those little strings of fabric tied up in this tree, and then there's a ton of prayer flags over here. I also really love this detail of this like collapsed looking statue. You can still see its claws and its teeth. It makes me be like, I want to see this statue when it wasn't collapsed, but it was never not collapsed. That's Disney theming, like that's how good it looks. Right by the entrance from Discovery Island, we do have Drinkwallah, which is a cold refreshment sort of stand. It's already built out for a kiosk, but this is a great place to find like slushies and frozen drinks. I had a frozen Coca-Cola here a few weeks ago, and it was exactly what I needed for a little bit of energy and cooling off during the day. They've also got things like some novelties, the 50th celebration Mickey bars, cinnamon glazed nuts, and of course, frozen beverages with alcohol. And I really love the theming around here because it's like it's sponsored by Coca-Cola, so you can see a lot of like Coca-Cola geared theming. There's this beautiful like pagoda. And this is another of those secret seating spots down here. There's tons of seating. Once you get down in this little area, it's cool, it's shady, there's tables, Just really, who doesn't love that? Who doesn't love a table in Disney World? Who doesn't love a Simba kite flying through the air? This is certainly not the best view of kite tails, although it's pretty cool that if you're drinking your frozen Coke, you can get a view of kite tails. I would say a really, really good view. You can check out my Discovery Island tour at the seating back behind Flame Tree Barbecue. But this one's not bad. And like I mentioned in my Africa tour, if you watched that one, and if you haven't, you should, the boats down by the water are a very great place to look for some amazing theming details. The boats themselves are beautiful. The boats are loaded with theming details. It's gorgeous. This one has like a dragon carving on it that I've never noticed before, and I just now noticed for the first time because I'm just looking down. As much as I love to stay down here and stare at kite tails and theming all day, we got more of Asia to see, including an underrated restaurant. Now, Asia does have a table service restaurant. It's Anandapur's Yak Yeti Restaurant. And as you can see from the sign, they know what the priority is. They've got fine food and drinks, but what does everyone care about? What they put first? Conditioned air. An air-conditioned table service restaurant. It's absolutely gorgeous inside and out. You can see that there are these beautiful windows that look out over Asia. This spot is definitely going to have a bit more of an adventurous menu. They have dim sum, and I actually had my first ever dim sum at this restaurant when I was a teenager, and it was surprising to me. But it is going to be just like mostly like Southern Asian food, but kind of a mix. It's an Asian fusion restaurant. And there's probably something for everybody, but I wouldn't say it's the best pick for picky eaters. Yak Yeti Restaurant is also owned by Landry's, the same company that owns T-Rex and Rainforest Cafe. If you don't love the food at those places, don't let that reflect on Yak Yeti. I've had some amazing meals here. And there's also just some gorgeous theming details. I think it's worth a stop at least once if you go to Disney World a couple of times, but maybe not a must-do. Out of all of the restaurants in Disney World. If you don't want to use your time on your Animal Kingdom Park day to have a full table service sit-down meal at Yak Yeti Restaurant, I have good news for you, and that's because you can head to Yak Yeti local food cafes. If you're craving some pretty good Asian cuisine, you can snag it at this walk-up counter here. It's also available on mobile order if you want to skip that line. This place is going to have a lot of stuff that is pretty standard. It's kind of similar to like takeout you might snag at an Asian restaurant in your hometown. So it's definitely not a standout. However, it is pretty good food. There's a lot of seating, and if you're hungry, I know for me, sometimes orange chicken just does the trick. The other bonus about the local foods cafe is that there is a lot of shady seating out behind them. It's not air conditioned like the table service restaurant. So if you want an air conditioned break, I recommend booking a reservation somewhere in the park, whether that's Yak Yeti or elsewhere. But there is shady seating back here. So when you grab your local foods cafe meal, you can head back here and see if you can find a table. And bonus, it's not always open, but back by the seating area, there is actually a beverage stand with a little bit of grab and go food options. So if you don't want to wait in that big Yak Yeti line, you can head back here to the stand and maybe grab something without a line. There's literally no one back here right now because people don't know what's back here. So per tip. And I definitely recommend these restrooms back here. They're a little off of the path, so the only people who are going to be using them are the ones who are eating their food back here. So they're not the quietest restrooms in the world, but they are definitely more quiet than those ones we saw earlier. So I just came out of the seating area for Yak Yeti Local Foods Cafe, and I am now by Kali River Rapids, which is the water ride here in Animal Kingdom, one of the few water rides in Disney World at all. This is a river raft ride, and it has a 35-inch height requirement. It is themed to the logging crisis, and you learn a lot about logging while you're on it. I will say this was Michael Jackson's favorite ride, so if that sways you. But I think most of us on our team don't love Kali River Rapids. If you like water rides, of course this is a water ride, so you might enjoy it. However, I do actually like water rides, and this is not one of my favorites. I always compare it to Popeye and Pluto's Bilge Rat Barges over at Universal, and that one is much more fun in my opinion. This one doesn't really have any exciting moments, which is kind of sad. You also are either going to get very wet or not wet at all. There's really no in between, which is kind of the struggle as well. In the spring, summer, and fall, the hot parts of those seasons, all of the summer, that means, there is typically a long line for Kali River Rapids. Right now it is 60 minutes because it's over 90 degrees out today. But it is available in Genie Plus as a lightning lane, and if you have Genie Plus in your Animal Kingdom day, it's not too difficult to snag in my experience. Fun little detail is that by the exit over here, you can actually press the button that will make the elephant spray water, and you can douse the people in the rafts. They have no idea that I'm doing it. You don't have to ride to come press these buttons. Got 'em. Got them all. Moral of the story, Kali River Rapids might be worth it on a really, really hot day, but it's not a spectacular water ride if you're pressed for time, especially if you don't like water rides. I think it's a skip. It's maybe my least favorite ride. One of my bottom 3 rides in Disney World. But this little back area, if you don't turn and come back here, you're gonna miss on one of my favorite attractions in Animal Kingdom. I've said the word underrated too many times, but I'm gonna say it again. It's underrated. That's because it's one of the animal trails here in Animal Kingdom. It is Maharajah Jungle Trek, featuring tigers, monkeys, and even dragons. I think we should go on a little stroll. I have seen family video of me on this trail when it was under construction, like way back in the late 90s. And I absolutely love the Animal Kingdom trails. They are amazing. It's like the best zoo trails you've ever been to. Every time I go on them, I see animals doing things I've never seen animals do before. And I learn animal facts from the cast members that I've never heard before. Between this one and Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, it's really hard to pick a favorite. I think I like the Africa one, Gorilla Falls, a little better because the gorillas tend to be more active, but I also love cats. This one has little tigers. They're really big. They're not little. They're much bigger than I am. Let's go see some animals, man. Is it raining all of a sudden, or is there fake rain in the bat exhibit? This is a mystery. I really love the bat exhibit. It's super cool because you actually can see them hanging upside down. Now these guys, like the other animals around Animal Kingdom, are going to be more active in the early morning and in the evening than they are going to be in the hot of the day, which is probably why they're spraying water in here, is to cool these fellows down. They are so cute. Bats are basically just sky puppies. They get a bad rep. I blame Dracula. I confirmed it was fake raining for the bats. It is not real raining out here. I was like, that would happen suddenly. But it is Florida, so can you blame me for thinking that maybe happened? What's up here? Oh, it's just like my kitty at home, waiting for lunch. Probably what my kitty at home is doing right now. I literally could stare at a tiger all day. In fact, when I'm at home, I do stare at my cat all day, which is basically the same thing. He's also orange. His name's Hemingway. Less fearsome and smaller. This is the area that I have pictures from when I was a little kid. Just learned my new animal fact of the day. Apparently, right now they have a lot of female tigers here in Animal Kingdom, and that they're hoping to breed tigers, which, by the way, if I see a tiger cub, I'm going to lose my mind at any point in my life. But apparently with the shutdown due to COVID, it has become a lot more difficult to get tigers, like to get for zoos to do their transfer programs and things. So they need a male here to breed, and they're hoping to do that, but there are apparently a lot more steps now, and I didn't know that. I know that the world has changed a lot of ways, but I didn't know that was one of them, so I'm learning animal facts. My editor and I have a joke about VeggieTales, and so, editor, this is for you. Everybody's got a water buffalo. Some are fast and some are slow. There's a water buffalo. It's like I'm Bob the Tomato. Something to keep in mind with the animal trails is that if you are a wilderness explorer, if you're doing the little wilderness explorer collect your stickers interactive game through Animal Kingdom, you definitely don't want to miss the animal trails, because it's where you're going to find some of your coolest animal experiences. Right now we are in the bird aviary. Hello, friend. And you will get some up-close encounters in here. I have had birds get very, very shockingly close to me in here. I recommend making time for the animal trails if you either have a whole day in Animal Kingdom, you're not park hopping, or if you happen to get through all the rides. I really love the animal trails. I think they're an amazing attraction. The first time I walked on them, like as an adult, I was like, oh my goodness, they're mind-blowing. And kiddos get to see tigers and little baby gorillas over in Africa. So I definitely recommend the animal trails. Do I think they're a must-do if you're pressed for time? No. But the second you're not pressed for time, hit the trails. We exit right by the entrance, where you'll find another restroom. Now these do tend to be on the busier side, as they are right after Kali River Rapids, so a lot of people want to go wash their hands, even change clothes. Those do tend to be busier. And if you do not want to bring some stuff on Kali, because there are actually storage lockers back here. Typically lockers are only available near the front of the park, but there are some back here if you need them for Kali River Rapids. Right back here we also have Bhaktapur Market, which is kind of a little market stand. You're going to notice the merch here is not Disney branded, and a lot of it is the Yak Yeti specific merchandise. But if you want something a little more unique you're not going to find elsewhere, you might want to pop in here. There are definitely some like legitimately Asian made goods in here, which is awesome, jewelry and things like that as well. So I definitely recommend stepping in. It's technically the Yak Yeti store location, and since Yak Yeti is owned by Landry's and not Disney, that's why you'll see no real Disney merch in here. And here you can see we're back on that main stretch, that loop around Animal Kingdom. Over here we have Mandala Gifts, which is kind of similar, except it's going to be like a little kiosk that has more Disney merch options. Kind of your basics, ears and hats. Anything you might want to grab sort of midday, but not a big wide variety. I do think this collection of signs for the Asian area is a little bit underrated of a photo spot. Like I definitely I have taken a photo here and would again. Like, it's super cute, it's super well themed. In fact, Animal Kingdom I think is full of underrated photo spots. This little building here is gonna be a threefer. We've got a Wilderness Explorer stop with the self-guided adventure that you can take, an area to learn more about Disney Vacation Club if you're interested in Disney's timeshare program, and what I care about, a Joffrey's. Royal Anandapur Tea Company is actually a Joffrey's, and they actually have some like specialty hot teas here, which is really cool, but it is 1 billion kajillion degrees today, so I don't think I'll be getting one of those. All right, don't be too shocked here, but I did get not coffee. I got the Wild Berry Hibiscus Refresher. It is just too hot for me to want an iced coffee. That's how hot it is. Look at these monkeys hugging. Isn't that great? That is refreshing. It's very hibiscusy. It's actually kind of equally hibiscus and berry. If you like this flavor, you like this. It's a little on the sweet side. It's not quite like a Starbucks refresher. It tastes a little bit juicier. And it definitely doesn't taste like, it tastes a little artificial, but not off-puttingly so. So, you know, it's not as good as their iced coffee. But I'm glad I tried it. I like it. So I've got a little stretch through here that doesn't have too much going on. There are some great views of kitetails through here and of the rivers of Discovery. I can hear the Discovery Island drummers cruising by and jamming right now. And there's the guest experience team tent. If you have any questions, need help with Genie or any questions about your park day at all, they can help out. This area that you walk past right now, there's not too much going on here, but this is actually where the chimpanzees hang out. And a lot of times, I think it might be a little too hot for them today, but a lot of times they are out swinging around, playing on the bars. I've seen little babies here. I definitely recommend stopping, maybe ask the cast member if they're out today. And if you pass by, definitely don't forget to look up and check to see if the chimpanzees are there, because they are so cute and so cool when you get to see them. Next, I'm going to show you something that you might be walking right by, but you super don't want to miss. There is a Photopass photographer over here to take pictures of you with Expedition Everest, the Mount Everest that you can see pretty much from a lot of places in the park. And this shrine right in front of it is actually a shrine to the mountain. And if you look closely, it's pretty much the exact same shape. Pretty neat, huh? Oh, Baloo's flying over. So kitetails used to be like a full show where they would have regular times and it was a little bit longer. Now they've chunked it up and you can kind of see kitetails going on a lot throughout your park day. Is that a prickly pear? Oh my gosh. I also really like this section because there are these little telescopes that you can look out and see Mount Everest and learn a little bit more about the other mountains that are presumably in this mountain range. And yes, those are real telescopes, so definitely point those out to your kids, because what kid doesn't like looking through a telescope? Passing another snack cart here, and another of my favorite photo spots that I think is underrated. There's this Yeti Palace Hotel sign that I think is just a great spot to take a picture, because it's such a cool sign, the theming is so good. And then we continue into more of the Everest Nepal section of Asia, more of Anandapur. We do have restrooms right over here. These are right on the main pathway, so they're going to be busier, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. I especially like that by the restrooms there's this shady bench area because you can kind of sit and wait, or just sit and hang out when you're overheating, because it is hot, hot, hot. Make sure you hydrate on days like today. Keep an eye out for pin trading. I have seen pin trading locations in this area before, and if you like pin trading, which is kind of a Disney staple where you buy pins, you can trade them for different pins and try to get the ones you like. And this beautifully decorated caravan is the Anandapur bus, which houses Anandapur ice cream. And obviously, if you are hot, this is the place to be. They've got soft serve ice cream, cold frozen drinks, and cold alcohol as well. Remember when I mentioned prayer flags earlier? This is where you're going to see a ton of prayer flags hanging over this section. This is an amazing theming detail. Prayer flags are obviously extremely culturally significant in that part of the world, so it's super cool that you get to see kind of a recreation of that here. And we got another bar. This little walk-up bar, you can walk up on either side, is Thirsty River Trek Bar. And they have sweeter drinks, but they're also going to be more unique, so with flavors of like guava and stuff like that. Yeti themed beverages. I definitely recommend to stop here if you like sweeter drinks. Molly and I did grab a drink here during our Drinking Around Animal Kingdom video, so go ahead and check that out if you want a full review. And it's not just alcohol. If you head just next door, ice cream, Mickey bars, frozen lemonade, frozen bananas, whole shebang. I really like to grab a drink from Thirsty River Trek Bar and then go sit in the Kitetails Theater. Obviously, Kitetails is running a lot more often and for a shorter time, so you're more likely to catch Kitetails. You don't really have to plan around when the show is. And that way you can kind of sit and have a drink, although I will warn you, it's in direct sunlight. We'll take a look at the theater. Just across from Expedition Everest, you can head through these doors here to head out into the kind of bleacher stand amphitheater for Kitetails. Now, as I mentioned, Kitetails happening a lot more often for a lot shorter of a time, so You won't ever really see this area fill up with the current show that's running, but pro tip, if you want to watch the kites crash, I recommend entering on this side and sitting as far right as you can. They do have this area blocked off because that is where the kites crash. And that's perhaps one of the best parts of watching Kite Tales. Now, Disney Kite Tales is a kite-based show. It happens just kind of over and over throughout the day with various Disney characters from Lion King and Jungle Book. And there's really fun music playing. I recommend stopping to watch it if you see it going on, but I wouldn't go out of your way to try to catch it. I wouldn't hang out here for a while to try to catch it. Odds are you'll see it from somewhere in Animal Kingdom, and it's not the most exciting show in the world. It's good. It does love a kite. You can access seats to the theater from over at the theater in the wild, and then also right over here across from Expedition Everest. It's nice to sit down, but again, you're in direct sun no matter where you sit. Speaking of Expedition Everest, it is our next stop. This is one of the most popular rides in Animal Kingdom, and many consider it to be the best roller coaster in Disney World. I don't know if those folks have ridden Guardians, but this is a pretty great roller coaster. It is a longer coaster. You'll be surprised by how long it goes on, themed to sort of an expedition up Forbidden Mountain, where you do come in contact with these scary, horrifying Yeti. The Disco Yeti, actually. So what a lot of Disney fans know is that when this ride originally opened, the Yeti, which is actually a giant animatronic, did move and did this big arm swiping towards you. It was super scary. I rode it when the Yeti was still working, and it was wild. Now, however, the Yeti has been turned off because the movement that giant robot was doing was so distressing to the rest of the building that would have broken the ride fairly quickly. So the Yeti is now turned off. Instead, you go past the still Yeti with the strobe light flashing. So it's still cool. The Yeti's still in there. He's still big and scary. He just doesn't kind of like come down at you with the fearsome Yeti power anymore. There are 3 main ways to get in line for Expedition Everest Legend of the Forbidden Mountain. Obviously, you can wait and standby. Now, this is a popular ride, but it's also a high-capacity ride. So right now, in the middle of the day, it's only got a 45-minute wait, not too wild. Then you can also get this as a lightning lane with Genie Plus right now, but it has been a fancy ride or individual selection that you have to pay separately for in the past. And then you can also actually do a single rider line, which I think is what I'm going to do because I would love to take a spin through Forbidden Mountain right now. Now, this ride does have one of the highest height requirements in Disney World at 44 inches. So keep that in mind if you got little ones. And I think we go for a spin, try to find that Yeti. So you can see the standby entrance and the lightning lane enter over there. And the lightning lane is actually right here today. But if you're looking for that single rider line, you want to head towards the store entrance, Serka Zong Bazaar, which we will certainly check out. And then turn left and head towards this little sign that says single rider entrance. All right, I'm in the single riders queue, and you can see that there is this little section of the Yeti Museum. This is my favorite part of the Expedition Everest queue. You can see it in the lightning lane, in the single rider line, and you actually get to go and walk through it for a significant amount in the full standby line. It is very, very neat because basically the story is that the museum curator is a big believer in the mummy, but not the mummy, wrong movie. Brendan Fraser who? You've learned that the museum curator is a big believer in the Yeti, but that the people who run the expeditions here think that maybe he's not exactly on his rocker. So it's fun because there's like, oh, the Yeti Museum is like convincing you that the Yeti's real. And then there's notes that are like, don't believe the Yeti Museum. We don't believe that. Then you get in and of course there is a Yeti. Everest, super fun coaster. Definitely not as intense as some coasters you'll find over at Universal, but it is one of the more unique, more intense coasters in Disney World. I was riding with a family that had never ridden
Great ride.
Yeah, it was a great ride. That was them. I was riding with a family who had never ridden it before, and they loved it. They were super surprised at how intense it was. And again, it's not crazy intense. You don't go upside down or anything, but it is a little faster than you might be expecting. You get to see the big Yeti at the end. The story of the ride is really cool. The theming is absolutely amazing. It's gorgeous. You get a great view. If you like roller coasters, ride Expedition Everest. And remember, if you ever don't want to ride a roller coaster, or someone in your family doesn't, or you've got a little one who's too small, rider swap is always an option where everybody can wait together, and then the people who do want to ride it can swap out while waiting with the little one who doesn't, which is pretty cool. And of course, exit through retail. No, you can't buy these super cool masks, but this is Serka Zong Bazaar. This is one of my favorite ride stores in Disney World, and that's because I think the Expedition Everest merch is so fun. There's this Everest Summit gear, long sleeve. I don't feel like I ever want to wear long sleeves again today. Super cool, like camper mug. Tons of super cool stuff in here. And also the theming of this store is very nice. It's air conditioned. It's a big plus. And then there's the extremely adorable Yeti collection. I did conquer Expedition Everest. Might not have been an actual Everest expedition, but it's kind of like that, except it's a roller coaster instead of a crazy, wild feat of human endurance, which is what climbing the real Everest would be. I'm literally hearing people around me say it was worth the wait. I think it's pretty standard of Everest because the waits aren't typically like over an hour. They definitely can spike over an hour, but keep an eye on it. Usually you can get it on a little shorter if you rope drop it. If it's the very first thing you ride when the park opens, you'll walk right on it most likely. So it's pretty cool. Fair warning with Expedition Everest, it does close when there's lightning or severe weather. So that tends to be more common in the afternoon. If you want to ride Expedition Everest, there's always a chance of rain in Florida. So riding it in the morning to make sure you don't miss it because it closes is a good idea. I found the pin trading location, and there's another ice cream stand over here. Ever important. And also there's a super cool thing that you can do over here as well. If you have Memory Maker or just want to purchase one photo, a very, very cool one is over here. It's a scenic super zoom photo, and it is what it sounds like is a super zoom. So you'll stand over here and will be a massively zoomed out photo of a lot of Asia, of Expedition Everest, and then you'll be standing there and it can zoom all the way into you. It's super cool. And this bridge marks the other exit of Asia. If you enjoyed the Asia tour today, go ahead and like and subscribe, and now go watch my tour of Africa. See you there!